Thank you, Theophilus, for the news and sports update. All right, now let's go into the discussion on aviation. There are so many problems limiting the aviation sector, and the payment of value-added tax is one of them.
VAT is charged as 5% on every flight ticket sold by airlines and is remitted to the federal government. But in June, the federal government ordered the removal of value-added tax from air transportation.
Months after, Nigerian airlines are still groaning as the order is yet to be implemented and air travelers are still paying more. Airline operators of Nigeria say an estimated 10 billion naira is remitted as taxes annually, a situation that is threatening their operations. We have aviation analyst Olumide Ohwayo here with us in the studio to look at that. Good morning to you and thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Now, it's interesting to note that it's airline operators that are lamenting that the federal government has not effected the VAT removal policy.
Well, it seems in here, when I heard you say the word groan now, and that has been in the media. It is not the airline that should groan over the VAT on tickets. It should be the passengers, because it's the passengers that pay for that VAT. The only role the airline plays is that logistic of transferring the money from the passenger to the government. So I think it's the passengers that have the pain. And what I was expecting was that maybe the Consumer Protection Council, maybe airline passenger associations, those are the people that are supposed to be pushing for this thing, and not the airlines per se. Because after the logistics of transferring the money to the government, there's virtually no pain. So where is the growth coming from? But in all honesty, the rule is all modes of transportation are exempted from the VAT. Why have you left it with air transport? And after so much push, the government agreed about 4 months ago to remove it. Up to this moment, it has not been implemented. And it has not been implemented because you have said it verbally, but the respective bodies and agencies to take this action said they are yet to get the white paper. And you know, in this country, we always love white paper. But when we get the white paper or the order written, nothing will happen.
The fact that this order hasn't been implemented for 4 months also brings to mind the question of whether it is clear that this exemption covers domestic air travel fares. Because what they say is transport service available for use by the public as one of the services covered in this order. Yes,
well, it's for the domestic fares. It's for the domestic fares. That's where you have the VAT. Where they have the VAT, that's what they're asking them to remove. And I just hope that will be done. Like I said before, the law says all modes of transportation.
Okay.
So if you can get that out, then
you said you wondered why this is just for the benefit of aviation.
No. I'm not saying I wonder why. It will benefit the passengers. It's the passengers.
That is just for airlines, the passengers of airlines.
Yes,
that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
And that is where I want to come from. That you recall that air transport dropped by pretty much 27% last year, and even the first quarter of 2018 it dropped by another 7%, and it's almost dropping every year because the transport fares are very expensive. Airfares are expensive. And don't you think that is why government is trying to make air transport more attractive to Nigerians? Because very few can afford even domestic flights.
The general benefit of taking the VAT out of the ticket is that you expect fares to drop, and with fare dropping, you are going to encourage employment. Employment here means having more people to travel. But if you take that, you know that something in Nigeria that most of the economists put in the books are not what really comes to play in Nigeria. I can tell you confidently here today that even when this VAT is removed, the fare will not drop more than 1,000 naira.
Why do you say so?
Because if you look at the VAT on our tickets, the airlines did not add the whole fare to get that VAT out. What was used was the ticket fare itself. And if you look at that ticket, half of the fare is built up by charges such as fuel surcharge, security charges, the taxes for NCA and the airport authority. So those are almost much higher than the fare itself. So it has little little or no effect when you reduce it. So I'm not seeing any difference about maybe 500, 1,000 naira. But we'll come back here after about 4 months when it's done and say, okay, how much is the ticket fare today and how much is the ticket fare to in the next 4 months? You see, what I would rather want the AON to concentrate on is the VAT on other services that they use. The fuel, the aviation fuel, other engineering equipment. These are the areas I want them to really ask the government to help them with. That would assist them. Not this one on passengers. It's a done deal already. The president has announced it. He even went to Port Harcourt during the opening of the terminal to announce that. As they mentioned it. So what has been just documentation, and there's nothing to groan about.
But AON has been okay. You want to say something?
Please.
AON has been, lamenting for years now about multiple taxation.
Exactly. These are the areas I really want. That's where the word groan will come in. Not the one on the ticket fare. Because in the past, they were not even remitting those VAT fees to the government.
Okay.
The government didn't have to use some at the state they use EFCC. Then use some other agencies to get the airlines to remit such money. And I think the new system now makes it very difficult for you to keep such money any longer. We have a new sheriff in town.
I'm wondering if there is an agency that regulates and ensures that if eventually this VAT exemption is implemented, that Nigeria's flying will not still carry the burden.
Well, it's been a battle not only in Nigeria, even all over the world, that airlines have devised a way of ensuring that once you take this out, they get something back to the table concerning on the ticket fare. And that's why we would say they have gone to increase fuel surcharge fees. They've gone to increase security fees, and all in a way to beat that, whatever they will lose in one section. It's done by most of the airlines around the world. But the agencies also, like you said, agencies also come out to battle. I remember the former minister, Judge Chidoka, set up a committee to look at the ticket structure. And it came out and said, look, the charges you put outside the fare are too high. The airlines were listed. They looked at the tickets of about 4 or 5 airlines, and we found that it was one of the big airlines that was committing the largest crime in that, having that kind of charges. So they asked for implementation to see how it can be addressed. Whether it's addressed till this moment, I do not know.
But then you know that airlines in Nigeria are not. I don't want to say they are not making profit, but you know the challenges they are facing. We talked about air traffic dropping drastically, passengers also reducing per time, and most of the time they don't fill up their airplanes before they take off. So it's a challenge, really. Don't you think that is why this is happening?
I said that before. Charges. I said that before, that the airlines need to focus on the VAT on other services that they use that add to their cost of operation, such as the aviation fuel, equipment they buy and bring into the country, and other things that the VAT has made a cost to increase. That should be their focus. That's where I want to hear the word groan, not the one on ticket.
Well, you talked about something earlier about them not remitting that VAT initially to the government. So it's somehow clear why they're interested.
Initially in the past, they hardly remit it, or they remit what they want. But now the new sheriff is in town with the computerized system. You know how many passengers they carry. So as they are flying, you are requesting for that money. That is where the pain is coming in now. And going back to the statistics that dropped had to do with the economy last year, the depressed economy that went into recession. And once there's a recession, it affects aviation, it affects travel. Now that it's coming out and the political season is coming in now, travel will definitely increase. By the end of the year, to February, you will hear about the statistics. It has increased again.
Let's talk about
generally. Once the fare drops, you increase the employment, and it's not only the VAT right now that is keeping the fares high. We have the infrastructure outside of 2 or 3 airports. Almost all the other airports can't operate after 6 p.m. And when you have only one flight a day to a place, and because nobody wants to pay that extra charges of operating after 6 o'clock. Once you have only one flight, people are not encouraged to travel. So people want to leave Lagos, go to Maiduguri in the morning, and return in the evening. But when they are sure that there's only one flight that takes them out of Maiduguri, nobody wants to take that risk. Because now you know that once that flight does not leave Maiduguri, it's stranded. But when you have 2 or 3 flights, and you can only have 2 or 3 flights when the hours of operation is extended. And I think these are the areas I need them to start acting
to talk about.
Because some of these airports, when they're operating the edge, are open for 24 hours. The same airport they lock at 6 p.m. are open for 24 hours.
Because they have many passengers to fly.
For international operations.
For international
they
operations.
Have many passengers to fly.
Charter operations, they're open 24 hours. So why can't you just look at how you can leave this airport?
Perhaps more people are flying outside
extend the services so
within the country.
Nigerians will have more options of flying. But and once you have more options of flying, the fares will also drop.
I want us to talk precisely about why this VAT waiver has become at best a verbal pronouncement. The FRRS is saying it's a policy issue, it's not in the Gazette yet. Some are even saying that beyond an order, it has to be passed by the National Assembly. What exactly is the process of implementing this waiver?
Well, I think you see, I cannot talk much about the act or act of the tax bodies. What I know, there's been an executive order. Now, the executive order must pass through a process. Yes, it might be too slow, like the tax bodies. What I know, there's been an executive order. Now, the executive order must pass through a process. Yes, it might be too slow. Like 4 months after that order has been made, it has not been implemented. Something is definitely wrong with the process. So we this agitation, and as we are doing now, is supposed to put on the front burner. So wherever table where the order is, it moves there and moves into the implementation stage. That must be done. If the FRR says it's an act and that it has to go through a process, well, all well and good. Because if the man in FRS implements immediately without a document, somebody tomorrow will tell, after the time you implemented this, there was no document, go and look for this, you are supposed to refund this kind of money. I will not be there to sit with him.
The director
But all we can do now is keep agitating, and let's say that it moves from just a verbal order to implementation.
But then we're supposed to agitate, because you already talked about the airlines not being in good position to, to agitate for the passengers.
No, they have started. Where's the Consumer Protection Council?
Well,
the airline associations?
Okay.
The Airline Transport and the Airline Passenger Association. There are so many groups that can push for it. You can also push for it.
The Director of Air Transport Regulations is asking operators to put more pressure on the federal government to ensure that this is implemented. I'm wondering what kind of pressures is referring to.
Just as they are doing now, with the media publication and writing of letters. Even pressure groups. I'm sure my association, the Aviation Roundtable, would do something on the VAT very soon
to fast track the process.
But then some airlines, some of the challenges when it comes to maintaining their airplanes.
Yeah.
Some will have to fly out of Nigeria, to maintain them. I think for category C or D, maintenance, they do go out there to do that. So it means that the authorities are not even providing these airlines with enough services in the first place. So it's putting a lot of pressure on them to operate, and that is why we've got so many airlines out of business in Nigeria.
That is not disputed, and that's why we are not in support of the Nigerian Air Community, because what the things that have made others to fail, the things that have not made us have a strong airline have not been addressed. And one of the things that what we have raised now, we do not have a national anger that we can take aircrafts to and fix. When they have to fly this aircraft, it costs them more money. And that's why I said earlier on that I want the AON to put more emphasis on those other VATs that affect their operating costs, not this ticket fare. It's very little. Yes, we need it. It's important to have the VAT removed, because you have the losses all public transportation, and it's part of it. If you don't have it on the road transport, you don't have it rail. Why are you having it on air transport? But I want them to concentrate more on other issues than this ticket VAT. It's already a done deal. All with just a little documentation. Everybody can push for that to be implemented by the government as quickly as possible.
So there are some who would say that neighboring countries like Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Togo have already abolished VAT on air transportation quite a long time ago. Ghana did a year ago, and wondering why we still have to do that in this part of the world. But this other VAT you're talking about, how feasible is abolishing this?
Yeah, it's visible. You see, when the airline business is more like a cartel deal. And today, if the operators come together and said, okay, today we're not going to operate, we need to address these issues as quickly as possible. If once there's no movement, you are slow down the economy. And once you slow down the economy, you are killing the power base of the country. So the government will definitely sit and say, what is going on? It happened sometime last year when the unions closed the counter in Lagos. The airline stopped for literally 4 hours, and the government had to call them straight. So I think they even have that power, and they need to use it more rather than that big crane they have. Because this is something like that. Once they sit and take a decision, one or two of them will still go behind them and ensure that this, and push something different.
That seems to be a challenge really for that association and the operators, because I recall we had you months back talking about the profit margin of airlines and all that, and you were talking about them coming together in a way that if you have like 5 space left in your plane and you're to fly tomorrow, you can, liaise with some other airlines to give you the passengers, and then you share the profit somehow. But we don't see that really, in system being used.
The regulatory authority and IATA have all tried to push that with this. I think they are working on it now. Probably we will see it come to fruition before the end of the year, because that helps everybody, the passenger, the airlines themselves. What is simply means, we are looking at that commercial agreement between the airline. That, okay, I have bought this ticket from Mr. A. At this point in time that I want to fly, he is not ready. I can fly Mr. B's, I can fly LIB, and you work out how you get your fund back. That's what that agreement simply means, called interlining among them. But we're waiting for the process to come to fruition. The process is on, though delayed by the insistence of the airline not to agree to the process. But now I think something is coming up. I hope it will work out before the end of the year.
I'm just looking at how much negotiation has worked, especially when it comes to reduction of the other VAT you mentioned earlier with the federal government. As we speak right now, Labour is threatening to go on strike. The last time staffers of one of those local airlines also protested, it affected the operation and grounded the operation for quite a number of weeks. Exactly. So how do you expect a negotiation to take place without some industrial action in this part of the world?
No, this would not have, if you look at the industry right now, it's the agencies that are strong with the unions, not the airlines.
I see.
Or not the airlines, it's the agencies that have strong unions in the industry, not the airlines. The airlines, virtually almost all the airlines are just, perhaps just one or two, just have few members, and that has not been able to affect the airline activities. The only time the unions affect the airline is when the issues have to do with the airports, the fan airports or MM2, then they go there and make some disruption. I was not too happy with the last disruption, because I thought they could have had there are better ways of resolving that issue than shutting down the whole airport, putting in pains those who are doing business within the airport, and airline operators themselves and the passengers that wanted to fly. That was, I think, the role the union played that last wasn't.
I'm wondering if the union got exactly what they were looking for.
Yes, they got it. They got it. And
so maybe it worked eventually.
Yes, they got it. And I feel that would bolden them to do more. Which will harm the economy. I think the process used in that for that strike wasn't good.
Okay, so in essence, what would you suggest the Minister of Aviation do now?
With respect to
the call for the removal of the VAT, the executive order the president, has pronounced, because the president Muhammadu Buhari still mentioned it when he went to open the international airport in Port Harcourt, meaning that to him it's already a done deal. But what is going on? What should he do, the minister especially?
I expect the minister to just, I think that will be fast track, that can fast track the whole process. All the Minister of Aviation need to do is just write to the Minister of Finance. And some of the things we find very difficult to do here has to do with the personalities that are supposed to do their job and are not doing it. Because I feel if the Minister of Aviation and the Minister of Finance meet, probably it will even be implemented before all the documentation comes in. And that was the issue of the Nigerian Airways. So that the Nigerian Airways money that was there all the while, and they said the paper is moving from the minister's table to the Senate, from Senate is going to the ministry. But immediately Mr. Adeosun left, and the new minister came in. Within a week, the whole paper that's been moving for the past 7 months moved straight into implementation. So personality counts.
Okay.
Well, it's quite interesting how all of these are going. I am concerned precisely about the wave of crashes that we've witnessed in the past few days. You recall 189 people who were killed, and the helicopter that crashed and all of that. We have also had our own, measure of crashes. Just on October the 1st, the Navy pilots, that crashed in the demonstration. Would you say that we're putting the round pegs in the round holes and ensuring that we are tightening our policies to ensure that these do not happen?
Well, the military operation is quite different from civil operation. It's not even under the control or supervision or being regulated by the civil bodies.
There was also a commercial flight that veered off the runway.
Yeah,
that happened
it was a charter for the non-scheduled carrier. That's under this purview of the civil operations regulations. You see, that's why it's called an accident. You cannot predict it. The airline you're just talking about, the one that happened in Indonesia, it was just 2 months old. 2 months and 4 days. Not 20 years, not 20 years and 4 months. 2 months and 4 days.
You're saying that these crashes are not, they're not preventable.
You can only reduce. That's why you have the word accident. You can only reduce to the BRS minimum. But and I can tell you that today, Nigeria is scoring very, very well and very high on the issue of prevention of accidents, because we've been able to reduce that from what was there during the reign of President Obasanjo, when we had our aircraft dropping from the skies. That has been done because we have strengthened our regulatory authority body, and the body now is in that category 1 certified. So we're working on that. I think the area we need to work on is that the economic regulation, because if we are getting it right with safety, and our airlines are not strong, they're not paying salaries, they don't have enough funds to run the operation, obviously, one way or other, it will creep back into safety. So it is the area of the economic regulation that we need to work on now, because the airlines are not financially strong.
Performance. Thank you very much, Olumide Ohunwayo, aviation analyst. Thank you for coming on the show.
Well, still ahead on TV.